Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I'm Andy Signore. We're in the midst of day 12 of the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial, and we just had some shocking testimony come in from Travis McGivern. Now, Travis was one of Johnny's security professionals. His job was to protect Johnny, and he shared some really big details about how Amber was actually the one who Johnny, not the other way around. In fact, he witnessed firsthand an incident where Amber, with closed fist, you know what I'm talking about. He's going to explain it in detail. I'm also just delaying a little bit so we can get some of these keywords that are sometimes questionable later in the video. That's how YouTube works. So without further ado, I want to go to Travis's testimony here as he talks about sort of how Amber treated him, as well as how Amber and Johnny treated each other.
What do you recall Ms. Heard saying in those instances?
Oh dear. It would vary, and to be honest, I tried to not pay attention. I was just there to get Mr. Depp out of there. But, you know, there were times I've heard Ms. Heard call him a
effing deadbeat. Got to be careful here.
Or fucking washed up.
Washed up, and see you next Tuesday.
You name it, she's spewed it.
You name it, she spewed it. Sorry for bleeping, but we're too early in the video. But yeah, it was an effing deadbeat, washed up, see you next Tuesday. He did also confirm that, yes, Johnny used to do that too, which made him more credible. He did say Johnny would obviously be yelling back or using words, but only words.
On one occasion, let me know how she felt.
And what did she say to you in that instance?
A lot. It was a lengthy, one-sided conversation. But she basically demeaned my career choice, called me a fucking yes man. And honestly, there were parts of that where she, you know, she was like, how would you feel if someone was involved in your relationship, which I sympathize with. Yeah, she definitely threw some shade on me and my chosen career.
It's very telling how she's reacting there too. Just real quick, how you won't even look the guy on video in the eyes. It's like he's not seeing her, but you can tell she's still afraid to even look at him in the eyes when she's talking, and looking all over the place. Huge tell.
So when he texted me, I was downstairs. I don't remember exactly what I was doing. Either getting some air, stretching my legs, or grabbing some food. But I remember getting the text. I wasn't in the CP when I got the text. He requested I meet him at Penthouse 5 and requested that I bring the nurse, his nurse that was working at that time with him.
What was her name?
Debbie Lloyd.
And so did you go get Miss Lloyd?
I did. Miss Lloyd was staying at a hotel close by, probably about a half block away. And being that I was already down there, 4 a.m, I wasn't gonna, and Mr. Depp wouldn't have wanted me to have her walk by herself. But I wasn't gonna go get the truck either, since I was down there already. So I walked over to the hotel. I believe I called the nurse just to make sure she woke up. And then I walked to the hotel and I met her there. We walked over together to the Eastern Columbia building. In the lobby, we ran into Miss Heard. She was at the front desk talking to security or concierge, I'm not sure who. Miss Lloyd stayed downstairs with Miss Heard. I proceeded upstairs to meet Mr. Depp at Penthouse 5 as requested. Was hoping to get him out of there before Miss Heard, just because past experiences, when they would argue, she would try to prevent us from leaving. To the point, I mean, she's held the elevator before. She's physically tried to keep Mr. Depp from leaving by grabbing his arm or standing in front of him. I just wanted to get out of there to avoid that. He was angry and agitated. At one point, Miss Heard threw something else, either a purse or some sort of bag or something that she had up there. I was able to knock it away so it didn't hit him. At one point, she spit at him. Yeah, and then just a lot of verbal vitriol from both of them.
What do you remember Ms. Heard saying to Mr. Depp on this occasion?
Jeez. Anything and everything. Specifically, there was you're fucking washed up, you're a fucking cunt, which he called her as well. You're, again,
that's a British slang.
Dad shit. Yeah, I don't even remember what the fight was about, but it was pretty. The F word is my favorite word, and it was being thrown around to the point where I was uncomfortable. So,
Man, that
Mr.
says
Depp
something.
went upstairs and rearranged her closet for her, threw down probably every rack of clothing and shoes, threw at least one down the stairs. Yeah, he was upset. So her and her sister both came back in. We were on the middle level, so her office level of Penthouse 5 at that point. She was agitated. Mr. Depp was agitated. I felt it was time to get Mr. Depp out of the situation, so I stepped in between Miss Heard and Mr. Depp, telling Mr. Depp that we were leaving and that it wasn't up to him anymore. At that point, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a fist and an arm come across my right shoulder, and I heard and saw a closed fist contact Mr. Depp in the left side of his face.
And whose fist was that?
That was Miss Heard's fist, Amber Heard's fist.
How did Mr. Depp respond when he was punched?
The initial look on his face kind of mirrored mine, kind of a look of shock, like what just happened, where'd that come from? I had let him get hit by a Red Bull can, I let him get punched. My job is to ensure the safety and well-being of my clients. I felt like I hadn't done that, so it was my time to do my job and get him out of there. Mr. Depp got right in my face, pointed to the left side of his face and told me, "That's your fault." And I agreed. And then we proceeded to the vehicle and we left the loft. There was already a nice little shiner, definitely swollen and red. Wasn't black and blue yet, but it was definitely swollen and red.
Now, what I found really credible about this testimony, and there's a little bit more. He talked for about an hour, and then they did the cross. But he did speak up about Depp being verbally, out there using the "see you next Tuesday" word. But he made it very clear that he never saw Johnny be physical, not in that instance, not ever. And that was very telling when Amber was. Now, they tried on cross to talk about, something happened to Whitney, Amber's sister, to try to justify what happened here. But clearly he didn't corroborate that story. It does sound like, I don't know if Amber's sister Whitney is going to come on the stand, but it does sound like they're going to try to change the story for Amber's narrative as they get closer. But either way, I found this very credible. He was not afraid to speak honestly and candidly. I didn't feel like this was some guy on Johnny's payroll just being paid to do what he has to do. And Travis was somebody who was mentioned on the tapes. Amber didn't like Travis. Oh, go to Travis. Yeah, why don't you bring Travis up? Blah, 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 blah. On the audio tapes, Amber sort of ridicules Johnny for mentioning that Travis was trying to help and stop. And she's always, why don't you go marry Travis? That's how immature and ridiculous Amber is in those conversations. So I found him credible. I thought it was important for you guys to hear that. I don't know if this one will get shared, so make sure you share it for me whenever we talk about specific instances, especially against men. It's just not treated the same. And this was a witness who saw her do it to him, and I thought imperative to get out there, as well as just the meanness she spoke to him. She just seems like an awful human being, and the way she just wouldn't even look him in the eyes as he was sort of telling the story said everything to me. I'm curious what you guys, though, think. Let me know in the comments down below. Before you do that, though, do a favor. Make sure you're subscribed, hit the bell for alerts, smash that like button, and comment down below on what you thought his credibility was. Do you believe him? Do you think Amber is the worst? We got lots more coming on day 12. We'll be back live with our after show and lots more highlights for you here on Popcorn Planet.